In a real estate transaction, there is one very important party that you might not even know. Hi, I'm Susan. Let's talk today about the appraisal process, which is a hot topic in every real estate transaction today. The appraiser is someone who reports directly to the lender and the underwriter on what values are on a property. And ultimately, they are very, very important in our real estate transaction. An appraiser takes a scientific approach to what the values are on a property. So they're looking at past sales comparables, current market conditions. So the whole reason for this topic today is we are seeing some crazy things out there with list price, sale price, verbiage that agents are adding into contracts, and let's dissect a little bit of that. First of all, the appraisal is done about 2 weeks into the transaction, maybe a few days before or a few days after that. But ultimately, the appraisal is done and sent back to the lender prior to the loan commitment date. So that appraiser comes into the house, takes photographs, measurements, reviews all the data, puts it on this horribly long spreadsheet of information. And thank goodness I'm not an appraiser. I have a lot of respect for what they do every day because it's not an easy job. They also have to take a look at the current conditions of the market. And it's a little bit different today than even it was a year ago. In fact, on the national news last week, I heard them say some price points you have to consider the list price is the beginning or the starting price of a house, and we do see that. So let's talk a little bit about what happens with the appraisal. Either the appraisal comes in at purchase price or higher, or in some instances it may come underneath what the contract sale price is of the property. So several things go into effect, of course. So if it's at or above list price, loan approval gets done, everything takes care of itself, and we move forward to closing. If in fact it does not appraise for purchase price or higher, things do take place at this point. Either negotiation of the purchase price, the buyer brings more additional funds to closing, or the contract becomes null and void. So with the buyer bringing more money to closing, remember in paragraph 4 of our contract, it says the buyer is going to have a loan for X amount. So let's just use 20% down. If the appraisal comes in off, the lender's only going to allow the borrower to borrow 20% of the appraised value. So the difference is made up by the buyer in many situations. We are seeing things in our special agreement of the contract that says buyer will cover any deficiencies of the appraisal up to $10,000. $20,000. I recently had $25,000. So you know this buyer really, really wants the house. But the next step is, does the buyer and the agent really understand what they're writing when they write that in a contract? What that's saying is, what the house appraises at, the buyer's going to be able to bring in that $10,000, that $20,000, or that $25,000 and still qualify for their loan. So that is a big concession. That's an important factor that all parties need to understand during the real estate transaction. So this little form that we all sign and say, this allows the appraiser to come in, do the appraisal, walk through your house, and then these are the steps that happen if in fact a house doesn't appraise at purchase price, is an important form. That form should be looked at before signing off on it, and really great conversation with the real estate agent to the buyer, the real estate agent to the seller is key in this real estate transaction. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.